Hey, also, it's June 1st, which means it's the start of Pride season. And that means lots of rainbow flags, but also a lot of outrage at corporations like Target, who are really cowering and not doing what they need to do to stand up against bigotry and hatred and violence against LGBTQ communities, which is bad all the time, but it's especially bad now given the onslaught of attacks by our state government, as well as just ongoing ways in which folks could differently be showing up for LGBT communities. But it's really reminding me that the way in which we think about who we are supporting and who we're standing up for is not unique to corporate America. This is the same level of pandering and whitewashing, if you will, that happens in nonprofit industrial complex all the time. I know that while I was working within the nonprofit spaces as executive director, we put out there that we had a particular set of values, and then really a lot of the times we're forced to uphold the desires and the comfort of our donors. And so oftentimes we had to side with folks who were really interested in perpetuating white supremacy, white dominance, in order to ensure financial stability and ensuring that the donations would keep coming in. And I remember one pain point in particular, we were asked to not do a land acknowledgement during one of our events. Because it was going to be too much, right? Like it was going to be too much, and it was going to possibly offend some of the participants who it was assumed were going to be white wealthy donors, and it then for assumed that hearing anything to do with Native genocide or a land acknowledgement, was going to be too much, and it was going to upset the donors. And it's that level of subtlety that screams the loudest around what you're actually about, So I feel like as executive directors, whether you want to become one or whether you are one, that we have an obligation to really go beyond just that performative kind of accompliceship and the ways in which we state that we're values aligned and really about community, even really about collective liberation, if we're not about it for real. Because otherwise we're just the target who is putting out some rainbow clothes every once in a while and then pulling it back the second that the shit hits the fan, if you will. And so we have to be able to stand in our truth, both as nonprofit organizations, but also especially as executive directors within those organizations. And so my calling out or reaching out to other executive directors is really that I have been on a continued journey of interrogating and atoning for my own anti-Blackness, transphobia, ableism, you name it, a lot of the other isms. And it's a practice that I'm committed to every single day. It's not a one-time course that you go through. It's not a certificate program to say that you somehow got the stamp of approval for your DEI investment, but that it's an ongoing undoing, decentering, and apologizing for ways in which you've caused harm. And so, what I want to do, or what I'm curious about, is that are there other executive directors who are white or non-Black, people of color, who are really struggling to think through what does it mean to show up as a leader, to really be about it, but also not really knowing how to do that because we're not really accustomed to supporting our executive directors, as I've said a lot. The expectation is that you're supposed to just kind of figure it out. And it's a lonely world. It's really isolating. And I think that when you combine that isolation with the fear and the socialization towards whiteness and the proximity to whiteness that a lot of folks have who hold the positions of executive directorship, it's a recipe for disaster. there's not really a lot of growth that can happen there, because I really do believe that in order for there to be true growth and learning, you have to be able to go really deep within, but then be able to have some of your practices in community with other people, as sounding boards, as reflections back to you to say, you know, this is where I see you kind of falling down. This is where I see you being really open and expansive and curious. This is where I see you practicing centered accountability. And so I say all that to say that I'm available to folks. I can meet with folks one-on-one. I also am happy to have group sessions if that feels safer or more aligned with how you heal and grow. And so reach out. I know that I have claimed very much so that I'm a work in progress. So please don't reach out assuming that I have any sort of ideas or clear answers. There are no real tried and true answers. Rather, I can commit to being on a journey alongside you as you fall down. I can help you get back up, and I can help you really own where things feel really hard and embarrassing, maybe, and shameful, and maybe even not yet revealed. Like, let's do some of that work together. Let's go deep and figure out, like, what are some long held beliefs that you've had that you don't even realize you're holding on to, that are maybe no longer serving you. Let's talk a little bit more about the skin that you're in. Like, you can be as down as you want to be, whether you're Latino, whether you're queer, whether you're XYZ thing, and you are still not a person with a marginalized identity. You're still not Black, like, you still can't claim to fully know. And I think that that's somehow where we fall down a lot, right? Where we assume, oh, I've done XYZ things in order to make the work environment better for, Black staff, or I've differently connected with community, or I'm differently owning up to ways in which I've fallen down, and that's still not enough. And so let's work together. Let's figure this out. Let's talk about the shame and the hurt and the wanting to do better for our folks and just not really knowing what that even means. Let's do that work together. I am here for you. I've been there. I am there. I'm there right now, because even just making this video makes it feel as though I'm calling into question, is this centering myself too much in the conversation? And probably. And I know that I am in a position where I didn't even identify myself as white until several years ago. In fact, if somebody were to call me white, I would really get upset. And, as my sister says, like, punch them in their throat, metaphorically speaking. But I know what it feels like to go through this journey. And so therefore I have compassion for myself, and I have compassion for you and for others who are also struggling to just figure out, like, how do I do it, right? Like, I want to be a better human, and I want to heal from the ways in which I've been performative, the ways in which I've maybe hung out that rainbow flag and act like I'm about it when really I'm not. I haven't done that deep soul searching that's really needed in order for there to be long-term growth, long-term healing, long-term community. And yeah, I guess that's it. I'm complete. But reach out. Let's do some good work together.